Hello, my name is Claire Dawson, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the reliable one in my family. But in their eyes, reliable meant invisible, someone they could lean on, erase, and push to the sidelines, while they celebrated my younger brother as the shining future. I thought being dependable was a strength until the day they seated me by the bathroom at his wedding, a quiet reminder of where I stood in their perfect picture. If this kind of story resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling the stories that matter. Let's begin. They call me reliable, but in my family, reliable means invisible. I've heard that word so many times it clings to me like a second skin. Reliable, safe, predictable. Tonight at my parents' dining table in San Diego, that word echoes in every glance, every forced smile. The house feels warm from the outside. Soft lights glowing in the windows, the scent of roasted turkey and garlic bread drifting through the hallways. But inside, the pressure sits heavy, the kind that has less to do with food and more with tradition. My father raises his glass to Ethan, his voice booming with pride. Our son is the future of this family. He has the vision, the drive. Everything we've worked for will carry on through him. My mother nods quickly, eyes shining as if she's memorized the script. I sit across from them, my plate untouched, my presence acknowledged only by the space I fill. Ethan smiles at their words, and why shouldn't he? He's always been the sun in this family's universe. At 32, still scrambling to build something stable, but to them, he is promise incarnate. I watch the way Madison, his fiancée, leans in her manicured fingers, brushing his sleeve as if staking a claim. She looks at me, cool eyes darting like scalpels, measuring my dress, my posture, my lack of sparkle. Not really Claire's world, is it? She says with a laugh, gesturing at the discussion of branding and social presence. She's more practical. Doesn't exactly fit the aesthetic. The words hang between us, sharp and polite at the same time. My father chuckles softly as though she simply told a harmless joke. My mother doesn't even glance at me. For a moment, I want to laugh too, just to keep the room steady. Instead, I sip my water-tasting bitterness where there should be calm, reliable, invisible, always the scaffolding behind the wall. As Ethan launches into another story about his plans, new clients, a warehouse expansion. My thoughts slip backward to the day I sat in a sterile office 18 months ago. The papers were laid out in front of me, numbers, bold, risks underlined. The manager looked at me expectantly, waiting for my signature. $80,000 tethered to my name. My hand hesitated, and I heard Professor Laura Bennett's words from years before, whispered in my memory, "Always prepare your exit clause. Don't tie yourself to something without a way out." I should have listened harder. I signed anyway. Ethan hugged me outside the office like I'd just saved his life. Maybe I had. Without my backing, his company would have folded before it even had a chance to wobble. He promised gratitude, but it melted away faster than the ink dried. Now at this table, hearing him praised as the foundation of our legacy, I can't stop wondering what legacy exactly. Mine has always been silent sacrifices hidden beneath their admiration for him. Claire will always be the steady one, my father says, suddenly cutting into my thoughts. His fork clinks against his plate as he turns toward me with an approving nod. You're strong, dependable. But Ethan, he's the future. You'll hold the line and he'll carry us forward. The words strike harder than Madison's cool dismissal. My mother smiles proudly at Ethan, her hand covering his. It's as if they've declared the roles in a play we've been acting out all our lives. Mine is the quiet supporting part, uncredited. I glance down the table. Among the wine glasses and dessert plates lies a small card propped neatly against the salt shaker. The wedding guest list. My eyes catch on the letters, names carefully written, each grouped by importance. My own sits near the bottom as if added out of obligation rather than belonging. The noise around me fades. Ethan is laughing. Madison whispering into his ear, my parents basking in his glow. And me, I stare at that list at my name, cold at the edge, and I feel the truth pressed down. Reliable, invisible, always the one who carries. But tonight, for the first time, I feel the crack forming in the foundation they've built on me. My eyes remain fixed on that card, the laughter swirling around me like static, until all I can see is the reminder that I am little more than an afterthought. Claire looked at the wedding list on the table, her name coldly positioned at the bottom of the guest list. Erased once in a photo, erased again from a party. Being invisible was never an accident, it was designed. May sunlight filters through the blinds in thin slats, striping the floor of my living room with pale gold. I sit curled into the corner of my sofa, phone in hand, doom-scrolling through Madison's world. Her Instagram is a glossy cathedral to herself. Champagne pyramids, balloon arches, curated hashtags. A bridal shower. I didn't even know it happened. My thumb lingers on a video loop of women clinking glasses, pink dresses, catching the light, someone shouting to Madison before the audio cuts off. My mother's username is among the dozens of comments full of red heart emojis. I stare at the caption surrounded by my favorite women. My chest tightens, not with surprise, but with confirmation. I remember Madison's syrupy words at dinner, "Claire likes her quiet little world." The phrase was never an observation. It was a sentence carved into stone. A reason to trim me out. I swipe again, and another knife slides in. A group shot of Christmas at my parents' house, glowing fire behind the couch, Ethan in his new watch. Madison's caption, "Love this family. Can't wait to officially join it." Something nags at me. I know I was there. I remember standing near the mantel holding a plate of cookies. But the photo on her feed is clean, balanced, symmetrical, and missing me. All that's left is the hem of my sweater at the edge of the frame, a ghost's shadow. A knock rattles the door. When I open it, Samantha Price slips in her tote slung heavy on her shoulder, her eyes sharp with something between anger and sympathy. "I thought you should see this," she says, sinking onto my couch. She scrolls quickly on her phone, then freezes the screen between us. 2 photos appear. On the left, the unedited Christmas shot me visible present. On the right, Madison's polished version, me erased. Samantha leans back, her voice quiet. "You're not imagining it." The room feels colder, though the heater clicks faintly in the background. I stare at the evidence, the deliberate seam of omission. It's not an accident, not bad lighting, not an awkward crop. It's design. Madison edits her life like an ad campaign, and I am the blemish she airbrushes away. Later that night, Samantha sends me something else, a forwarded video from one of Madison's bridesmaids. I watch it in silence. Madison sits in a stylist's chair, hair wrapped in foil champagne glass in hand. She glances at herself in the mirror, then at the stylist. Her voice is soft, conspiratorial. "Claire looks like an off-brand librarian. She ruins the bridal vibe." The stylist chuckles nervously. Someone else giggles behind the camera. The clip ends abrupt and mean, leaving the room in my chest hollowed out. I replay it once, then again, memorizing every syllable. It isn't just vanity. It's contempt. It's strategy. She wants me invisible not only in photos, but in presence, erased so the image of her perfect life gleams without interference. My phone buzzes, another like on Madison's post, another cousin congratulating her. Diane's name appears too in the comments. "So proud of you both. Beautiful." No mention of me, no recognition that her daughter sits scrolling through an event she never knew existed. I slide the phone away. My pulse steady now. Precision, not panic. Design can be broken. A structure can fail if you pull at the right joint. I walk to my desk. The lockbox is still where I left it. Metal cool against my fingertips. Inside lies the check I prepared, $80,000, 12 years of saving my safety net written in neat numbers. I take a fresh envelope, thick cream stock, and slide the check inside. My breath fogs faintly in the cool night air drifting through the window. I press the flap shut, running my thumb across the seam. The paper whispers as it seals, final and fragile. I hold it close, feel its weight. This is more than money. It is proof that I was never just the invisible sister, never just the backup plan. My voice is almost a whisper, but the words ring like steel in the quiet room. Let's see how much they value the invisible one. Weddings are meant to unite families. Mine decided to bury me next to the restroom. Late July heat turns the vineyard to glass. Rows of vines glint under a white sun, and the reception hall breathes cold air every time the doors swing open, exhaling the smell of eucalyptus and polished wood. A string quartet saws a polite melody that keeps slipping out through the doorway and onto the gravel path where I stand a moment longer than I should, steadying my breath. Inside, everything is arranged to be adored linen draped like clouds. Menus letterpressed in gold, a neon sign promising happily ever after for the camera to kiss. I step into the hum and join the small tide of guests drifting toward an oversized mirror mounted on a brass easel. The seating chart looks like a wedding blog come to life. Names in looping script tables crowned with peonies, a garland cascading like a green waterfall. People lean in smiling when they find themselves nestled among friends. I search for Claire Dawson once twice, then a third time tracing each column as if my finger can conjure the stroke that isn't there. My father's voice arrives the way a cut arrives before the sting. Your brother is the future. My stomach tightens, a reflex I know too well. Can I help you find your table? A planner appears at my elbow headset, tucked behind one ear clipboard hugged to her ribs. She's kind in the way people who manage chaos must be. Efficient. Pity-proof. I don't see my name, I tell her. She flips to a page. Her eyes move the way a calculator works, quiet, absolute. Right there were a few last-minute adjustments. She gestures toward the back of the hall past the bar and the glowing photo booth. We've added a seat along the west wall. Just beyond the powder rooms. The lighting is softer there. Beyond the powder rooms. The euphemism lands delicately like confetti with blades. I follow the direction of her hand, a narrow stretch of wall next to a frosted door marked restrooms. A cluster of folding chairs lined up like apologies. No centerpieces, no name cards. Every time the door opens, a rectangle of tile flashes, and a chemical clean scent flickers bright and antiseptic. Thank you, I say, because a lifetime of manners won't dissolve in a day. I move through the room at the same speed as the music. Glasses lift, laughter pearls around me. Diane stands near a high top with two of Madison's aunts, her face powdered into joy. When she sees me, she waves a small fluttering hand that says, "There you are," without quite inviting me closer. Ethan swivels in a circle of groomsmen and vendors, telling a story with his hands the way he always does when he wants to look larger than the facts. Samantha catches my eye across a bouquet-topped table. Her smile is thin, a strained wire. She glances toward the west wall, then back at me. Her mouth presses into a sorry she can't say out loud. Claire Madison's voice arrives before she does bright and glinting. She drifts by in satin, a constellation of pins holding her hair in place. The photographer tracks her like a planet. As she draws level, she lets her eyes sweep my dress, my sensible heels, my steady posture. I'm so glad you made it. She leans closer, perfume sweet and expensive. At least you won't ruin the photos. She murmurs cheerful as a toast, and then she's smiling at someone else already being staged in front of a hedge of roses. I stand still long enough to feel the room choose who gets folded into the frame, who gets arranged at the edges. The quartet modulates to something triumphal. A bridesmaid brushes past with a laugh that looks like it was printed ahead of time. The restroom door opens and closes an automatic metronome. I imagine myself planted in that chair by the wall, cropped by the door jamb, inhaling citrus cleanser between courses while the night edits me out in real time. No, the word doesn't leave my mouth. It settles in my spine, clicks into place like a bolt. I turn toward the gift table. It's staged beneath a sign in calligraphy that reads, "Grateful and blessed the ampersand as generous as a flourish. Satin ribbons, velvet boxes, geometric vases, holding envelopes like folded doves." I find mine immediately, the thick cream envelope I sealed with a hand that didn't shake weighty, with a check that represented 12 years of saying no to myself, because yes was always required elsewhere. $80,000, a number that had become a scaffolding no one could see. I slide the envelope free. Paper rasps softly against paper. A few guests nearby pause the way people do when a bird lands too close, curious, uncertain whether to pretend nothing is happening. A groomsman I recognize from my brother's stories blinks at me, mouth half open. Are you sure that's... It's mine, I say. Gently. It was. The planner looks up from across the room, sensing a ripple in her perfect lake. She takes a step, then stops. Perhaps the headset tells her a cake needs rearranging, a boutonniere needs saving. Perhaps something in my face tells her the right thing is to let me pass. Ethan's laugh catches midair. He sees me with the envelope and his expression stutters. Surprise calculation, something like irritation spun with embarrassment. He takes half a step, then someone claps his shoulder and the circle reels him back. He doesn't move again. I walk. The room seems to part without quite admitting it has. The quartet's melody turns glossy with applause from the patio as a new tray of drinks appears. Every detail owns its place, stemware in even rows, napkins folded like secrets except for me. For a second, the light from the window burns through the envelope and the rectangle inside glows like a small sun in my hands. I think of my father's sentence, the one that wired me to this family's architecture. Your brother is the future. I think of the way my mother's hearts bloom under Madison's posts while my name peels off the edge of every frame. I think of Madison's whisper in the salon, that cool little dagger dressed as a joke. And I think of Laura Bennett's voice from a lifetime ago. Always prepare your exit clause. The restroom door opens. A woman steps out dabbing her lipstick and offers me a polite smile that bounces off before it can stick. I pause long enough to let the door hush shut again. The air smells like bleach and roses. It smells like a new building, trying not to admit it used to be something else. Samantha has moved closer, her hand curved around a glass she isn't drinking. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. I meet her eyes and see a reflection of myself I haven't allowed in years, not the reliable shadow, but the person who decides when and where she stands. I turn to the nearest cluster of watching faces, friends of the bride maybe, or co-workers, or plus ones who will go home and tell a story about the woman who didn't make a scene, but changed the room anyway. My heartbeat is steady, a measured line across a quiet screen. The envelope feels light now, as if gravity has revised its contract with me. I raise it to chest level, not high, just enough for the gesture to register. The violinists draw out a bright ornamental trill. Someone's phone lifts, hesitates, lowers. The photographer aims away from me like a sunflower tracks the sun. Don't worry, I'll stay out of the frame forever. The hotel room sighs when the door seals a hush so complete it feels medicinal. The vineyard's music is a distant memory, replaced by the sober hum of the mini fridge and the thin breath of the air conditioner. I set the envelope on the desk like a specimen and sit spine-straight fingers steady. Silence spreads cool, stainless exact, and in it I finally hear what has been true for years. I don't need to be loud to take my place back. The laptop wakes with a soft pulse. My reflection lifts from the black glass unadorned alert before the screen blooms with folders I keep rigidly organized. Ethan lease, R&R logistics banking, letters, contingencies. I open the last one first. Inside sits a draft, dated months ago, its subject line plain as a verdict, termination of cosigner agreement immediate. I read it through once, then again, trimming two adjectives that suddenly feel sentimental, sharpening a clause until it clicks. Professor Laura Bennett's voice travels across years and settles at my shoulder. Always prepare an exit clause. Don't build a span you can't retract. I had written this draft the night I realized Ethan had removed me from a vendor chain. I saved it not because I intended to use it then, but because architecture is timing as much as steel. Attachments next. Exhibit a notarized revocation. Exhibit B, copy of my ID. Exhibit C, the guarantee agreement with the relevant language, highlighted clause 9.4, rights of rescission under specific conditions. I run my cursor under the sentence that once knotted my stomach and now feels like a release lever. I add Laura to the CC line and type a single line at the top of the message for her per our contingency memo. Proceeding as discussed. Her out of office won't matter. Lawyers live by receipts. I hit send. The message leaves cleanly, no hesitation, a small blue comet vanishing into the server's night. I exhale, not with triumph, but with precision. There are more beams to unpin. The bank portal recognizes me on the second factor. Numbers arrange themselves into a story I know too well, balances masked by optimism, obligations dressed as growth. I find the scheduled ACH transfers tied to my name, click into the permissions, and revoke them one by one. Confirm, confirm, confirm. An icon spins like a coin, deciding which face to show, then resolves autopay deauthorized. I move to the profile page and remove my credentials from secondary authorization. The page asks if I am sure. I am. Save. Supplier dashboards then. I log in where my guarantor email still opens doors Ethan couldn't keep open on Charm alone. I withdraw my contact, replacing it with the company's general inbox, and log each change in a note to my counsel. Paper trails aren't drama, they're design. The screen light cuts a neat rectangle into the room's blue dark. I glance at the envelope on the desk, the check I reclaimed. It isn't a symbol. It's a boundary I can touch. I unlock my phone and open Ethan's thread. It's a cemetery of short asks. Can you float payroll? Can you check the lease reminder? Appreciate it, sis. I type a single sentence, the one I practiced on the drive but only believed now. It's time you stand in the frame you chose. No period. I send it and place the phone face down. Silence doesn't need punctuation. The inbox pings. For a heartbeat, I expect Laura, but the subject line belongs to the bank formal, graceful final confirmation of guarantor removal. I click. Words stack like girders. Pursuant to your submitted documentation, your name has been removed from all guarantee instruments associated with account ending 2173. The phrase feels like the first clean breath after a dust-heavy summer. I forward the notice to Laura with a terse received, proceeding to notify counterparties per plan. Another message lands automated acknowledging that my user profile has been detached from the company's lines of credit. The last safety joist slides free. I sit back and let the quiet settle deeper. My pulse is unhurried, my mind a level line. This is what I wish I'd understood earlier. Restraint is not compliance. It's aim. Tonight I pulled weight from a structure that never credited me for bearing it. If it sways, that isn't my doing. It's physics finally unmuted. The phone vibrates once unknown number, then stills. I ignore it. The city beyond the blackout curtains exhales a siren that rises and fades. I pour water from the glass carafe, swallow, feel the cool path all the way down. On the desk, my pen catches a slice of lamplight. I turn it between fingers, remembering the first signature the way hope overruled caution because family had asked. Because a daughter is taught to be ballast. The screen brightens with Laura's reply. Seen. Good. I'll lodge the notice with the lender's counsel tonight and circulate a short memo in the morning. You timed it well. I can almost hear the smirk behind those last 4 words. She never said I told you so. She didn't have to. Years ago in a seminar full of wide-eyed engineers, she told us that bridges don't fall from one failure. They fall from a chorus. When enough small sounds are ignored, the final note arrives like surprise. But it was written all along. A second email lands from a Portuguese supplier, the one Ethan bragged about landing automated but edged. Pending reconsideration of credit backing, all shipments are paused. The language is bloodless, and yet a ripple moves through me, a mixture of grief and relief. I didn't come here to topple him. I came to stop being the invisible foundation under a house that never put my name on the deed. I close the laptop. The room resumes its low, sterile breathing. In the mirror above the desk, my face looks unfamiliar, lighter somehow. I think about the vineyard's neon promise and the way a restroom door clicked like a metronome behind my assigned chair. That door kept time for me. I'm done moving to it. The phone quiet until now skitters against the desk with a staccato buzz. I flip it over. Ethan. Again. I let it go. Another vibration. Madison, I picture her at some infinity pool, still glossy under moonlight, reaching for control she never actually had. The screen flares with Mom, then Dad, then Ethan, again stacked like a deck that refuses to shuffle. I watch the missed call counter climb detached as a surveyor noting a grade. In the silence between rings, the relief isn't warm. It's clean. Exact. I gather the envelope into the hotel safe, shut the door, spin the wheel. The lock answers with a satisfying click that feels like a blueprint meeting reality. When the phone shivers again, I don't touch it. I know what I built tonight. Not a scene, not a scandal, an absence. Sometimes that's the loudest structure in the room. While they posed for beach selfies, their empire collapsed in real time. The sun over Maui paints everything in saturated blues and golds. Waves lap the shoreline with rhythmic applause, and Madison stretches her arm, angling her phone to catch the shimmer of ocean behind her and the bronzed smile on Ethan's face. Their captions are already written in her head: honeymoon bliss. Building our forever. From the outside, their world looks flawless. From the inside, it's beginning to disintegrate. At the resort, Ethan's phone doesn't stop buzzing. At first, he silences it, laughing nervously when Madison complains about the intrusion. Work can wait, she says, adjusting her sunglasses, but the notifications multiply. Emails, alerts, automated warnings. Finally, he glances at the screen and his smile falters. Notice of contract suspension. Another supplier delivery paused pending guarantor review. Each subject line slams against his chest. Ethan Madison lowers her glasses, eyes narrowing. It's nothing, he lies. But his hands are already trembling, swiping through a cascade of red flags. By the time he reaches the third email, credit line revoked, he can't keep his voice steady. Madison snatches the phone. What the hell is this? She scrolls, face tightening. You said she wouldn't interfere. You swore it. Her voice cracks sharp against the ocean breeze. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? We're on our honeymoon and the world thinks you're in control when everything is falling apart. In San Diego, my own phone lies silent on the counter screen, turned face down. I haven't touched it since the night I pressed send. The city outside moves with its usual rhythm, cars, sprinklers, the faint roar of the freeway. But in my apartment, the stillness feels deliberate. I let their chaos bloom without me. On another screen, this one not mine. Samantha uploads 2 files, the original Christmas photo with me intact and the cropped version Madison posted months later. Then the video shaky but clear of Madison in the stylist chair smirking as she called me an off-brand librarian. Within hours, hashtags ignite like brush fire. Bathroom bride trends on Twitter, then Instagram, then Reddit threads dissect every detail. Strangers defend me. Strangers condemn her. For once, the frame refuses to exclude me. Back in Maui, Madison's perfect feed floods with comments. What began as compliments turn venomous. Why would you erase your sister-in-law from photos 80 KSI cosign, and this is how you treat her? Ethan watches his reputation unravel pixel by pixel. He refreshes helpless as sponsors pull back and investors freeze their pledges. Madison throws the phone onto the bed, furious tears threatening her mascara. It's her, she hisses. She planned this. She made us look like villains. You made yourself look like that. Ethan whispers, but his voice lacks conviction. By evening, my parents call. The screen glows with Diane's name, then Charles's. I let them both ring through. Their voicemails arrive seconds later, voices taut with anger. Claire, how could you do this? You're tearing the family apart. After all we've invested in Ethan, you undermine everything. You're selfish, ungrateful. You'll regret this. I listen once quietly. Then I delete them. My own voice finally leaves a reply, firm and precise, not raised but sharpened by truth. You expected me, but you never appreciated me. I press send and sit in the silence that follows, lighter than I've felt in years. Later, a voicemail from Ethan arrives. His tone stripped of arrogance, filled with pleading. Please, Claire. Without you, I'll lose everything. You've always been the steady one, the one who fixed things. Don't let me fall now. I need you, please. His words are sticky with desperation, echoes of the praise he never gave me until it served him. I don't delete this one. I keep it not as leverage, but as evidence of the shift the brother who once stood on my shoulders, now begging me not to step aside. In the half-light of my apartment, I pull open the drawer where I've kept the torn wedding program. My name, once printed small at the bottom, stares up at me in half letters. I smooth the paper flat, trace the letters with my fingertip, then rip the page cleanly down the spine again. The sound is crisp, decisive. I stare at the torn halves lips, curling into a smile that isn't warm but certain. For once, the frame doesn't hold me hostage. It's mine to step into or out of as I choose. For years, I was the shadow holding them up. Now I am the frame holding myself. Morning spills into my apartment like a soft confession. The blinds carve lines of gold across the floor, and the air smells faintly of coffee grounding uncomplicated. I breathe in the quiet, letting it steady me, knowing this stillness is not emptiness. It's mine. The knock comes late, hesitant then harder. I already know who it is. When I open the door, Ethan stands there, disheveled face sagging under the weight of sleepless nights. His hands grip a folder like it contains the remnants of his empire. Behind his eyes, panic churns. "Claire?" he says, voice cracked and desperate pleas. "You have to sign again. The lenders, the vendors, everyone is pulling out. If you just put your name back just for a little while, I can fix this." I step aside. He stumbles in, looking around at the neat stacks of papers and sketches on my table. "You're working." "I always was," I answer simply. He lays the folder down and leans closer. "I can't do this without you. I know I've made mistakes. I know, Madison." He swallows hard. "But you're my sister. Don't abandon me now, please." I open a drawer and pull out an envelope. I hand it to him. He hesitates before sliding out the single page inside. The words are stark, centered, final. "You're not my shadow. I am the frame." His lips part, eyes searching mine for softness. None comes. So that's it. That's everything I say. Voice steady. "I won't carry you anymore. I won't erase myself so you can shine." He deflates shoulders, folding inward. For a moment, he looks smaller than I've ever seen him, like a boy lost in his own house. He tucks the note back into the envelope, nodding faintly. "I don't know what happens now," he whispers. "You learn to stand without scaffolding," I reply. "And you face the walls you built." He leaves without another word. The door clicks shut, and silence blooms again, clean and liberating. I turn back to my desk, spread out my sketches. Bridges, frameworks, plans that belong only to me. My hands are steady as I draw the next line. My phone buzzes Samantha. "The family talked today. They're finally seeing it. They said they stand with you." For a moment, I let the words rest on the screen, then smile softly. Respect builds family. Blood alone doesn't. I type it, but I don't send. Some truths don't need broadcasting. Instead, I set up my phone on the tripod. The lens blinks back at me, unfiltered, unadorned. I think of what I said at the wedding. "Don't worry, I'll stay out of the frame forever." Now I let the words invert themselves. I press record. My name is Claire Dawson. I say, the air holding steady around me. And this time I'm standing in the center of the frame. I stop no edits, no filters. I post it as is. Minutes later, my notifications explode. Hashtags shifting comment threads, sparking strangers writing messages of solidarity. Bathroom bride twists into "I am the frame," a phrase people start repeating like a mantra. A symbol is born not from spectacle, but from truth. I close the app and return to my desk. The city hums beyond the glass, indifferent, alive. For once, I don't need their approval, their praise, or even their regret. My frame is mine alone. Blood made me their daughter. Respect makes me whole. And today, I choose to be my own family. Betrayal once tried to erase her, but in the end, it only revealed the strength she had carried all along. Justice came not with a roar, but with a steady hand, dismantling the illusion that cruelty could ever pass for power. When injustice is met with unshakable resolve, the verdict may arrive late, but it echoes louder than any lie. Sometimes it takes just one act of courage to redraw the frame and claim the life that was always yours. If you found strength in this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Type 1 if you truly felt her journey.